Dat is aan Jeroen. Vraag? We horen inderdaad ze niet. Kan te horen inderdaad ze niet. Oh, nu hoor ik hem zelf. Top. Kan te... a little. And a very, very, very good evening, everybody, to Your Open Metaverse, State of Your Open Metaverse, our first official Ask Me Anything. Right now, we're all having a heartbeat of about 170 because we're all super psyched about what's gonna happen and all the questions that everybody has for us. My name is Aragorn. I'm a recently instated Chief of Marketing Officer here at Your Open Metaverse by BeamUp. And, well, what can I say? It's been an incredible journey over the last few weeks for me personally, but it's also been an incredible journey for the team. And to give you guys a little insight, because some of you might be really up to date on what's going on and might have been in our Telegram chat and might have been following our Twitter, but some of you might be joining our community only recently and have no idea of what's really going on or where we're coming from. You're just super excited about the project that we're working on. And so to give you an insight of the journey that we've been through, where we've gone, where we're coming from, I want to give the introductory chance to our founding father, Daniel van der Waals, who's gonna give a little talk about where we came from.
Well, thank you, Aragorn, and thank you, our YOM community, for being here. It means a lot to me. Well, in 2013, I came onto the idea of using a game engine for presentations, because in the virtual world, everything is possible. You can make amazing experiences, tell your story in completely new ways. For years, I've been trying to get my own idea, like using a game engine for presentations, off the ground. Well, things started to move forward in the beginning of 2019 when our CTO, Jorrit, helped me out with writing or developing a business plan. In July 2020, well, since the beginning of 2019, I created a network of other VR enthusiasts and people in the events industry. And in July 2020, we formally started our business. And also Alex joined as our managing director. Pretty soon after the formation of our BV, we did a couple of projects. One of them was the first TEDx talks, the first virtual TEDx talks with avatar speakers. Even though we did a couple of projects, pretty soon there was a lot of interest. It was still a major, major grind, a huge battle against cash flow. Also because, well, the Dutch government and angel investors, they really didn't understand what the metaverse was all about. So we had to do everything on our own, and it was it was a huge grind. Well, in the last summer, we started of thinking about integrating blockchain technology in our proposition, and we started making the first steps towards our tokenomics. Well, the last few weeks, it has been an incredible ride, this marriage of the metaverse and blockchain. I can't thank you guys enough for being there, for supporting us. And now we can really start creating your open metaverse the way we originally envisioned it. So thanks for being here. I can't wait to build amazing worlds, virtual worlds and experiences with you guys. And I'll see you in the metaverse.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for that short introduction. I can't agree more. It really has been a truly incredible journey. Next up is going to be our one and only one of our founders, really, but our CEO, Alex van der Baan, who is recently back from an amazing trip that he made to the US of A, where he had the privilege and honor to be interviewed for the NASDAQ, as well as Fox News, Newsmax, and a lot of other channels. And he had some really amazing meetings there as well. So he's going to give you an update on that stuff. And he's also going to tell you everything about the partnerships, our advisory, and all that good stuff that's happening in the background to make sure that this project really meets its full potential. Alex, so good to have you.
Thanks so much, Arghorn, and great to have all of you guys here and to do this first AMA with all of you. For us, as Daniel said, it has been a crazy journey. We as BMUP are I always tend to joke a little bit about that, but for us it's quite serious, a pandemic-born company. We started off we started obviously last summer when everything was primarily locked down. And for us, that really helped us focus on what it is that we want to build, the vision that we have for BMUP, the vision that we have for the metaverse, and how we believe an open metaverse should really look like. And I think it all starts with the team, for us, for the people that we can onboard right now. It starts with the culture, and it also starts with an outset. And for us, that outset is that we believe that content that is created should, in the end, belong to those companies, to those activists, to those artists, to those athletes that help create. And for us, that's paramount of importance, and it's been throughout our journey. And as Daniel just mentioned, when we started this pivot, basically, because that's what it is, we had our business to business running. We were doing projects in the metaverse even well before we could actually use that phrase. It was difficult to have people understand why they should actually be in the metaverse, why there should be a presence of yourself, of your company, your brand. And from the moment that our advertising agency from the United States, also formerly known as Facebook, when they came out, when they actually started telling the world about the way that they see the future of the metaverse, that really propelled and ignited our rocket. And that journey started for us on the 27th of October. The first investors that backed our token started investing. Recently, as Arghorn mentioned, I had the opportunity to go to the United States and to tell a bit more about mainstream media, mainstream financial media, about what the metaverse is, what we believe the metaverse is. And it's been great for us to see how much support we've gotten after that interview, how much questions we received back. And I think it also shows I think personally, one of the strengths of our project is that we are also embedded in, let's say, in the real business world, and that we try to bridge the real businesses that we encounter day to day and bridge them to the metaverse. And we try to do the same thing also with our blockchain offering, our token offering. We try to make that bridge between the financial system that we have here in the Netherlands, here in Europe, and bridge that to the endless possibilities that we see that you can actually obtain with the blockchain. So for us, bringing that message out is important for us as well. Being sure that we can be a transparent and open project that people can reach, people can ask questions to, is something that we aspire to and that we want to have from the beginning. On partnerships, because that's also what you asked about, a number of very important partnerships for us. Obviously, it is Microsoft. We onboarded in their Microsoft Starter program at the beginning of 2020. It really helped us build and propel the base of our network, the base of our platform that we have already on the Azure clouds. wonderful support from HP, who's coming in as that hardware partner, doing a lot of cool stuff regarding to their VR headsets. And of course, over the last period of time, there has been so many various advisors from the Dutch ecosystem, from the gaming ecosystem, and I think it would take a bit too long to name them all. You can see them on our website, but I think the important takeaway is that we managed to secure a wonderful combination of people with vested interest in blockchain, in gaming, and also in global and Dutch business life. And I think that leads me to the end of the number of questions that you asked out for. Or do you have something else for me?
Hey, Alex. Yeah, so thank you for that a lot. I'm sorry to say this, but there is a little bit of an issue with your microphone. So I don't know if you can check that because we're getting some interference on it. Oh, now it's gone. Whoa, that's
okay.
Maybe I should have interrupted you there, but you had such a great story. Didn't want to do that, but people in chat were asking about it.
Okay.
Well, let's just go and see if there is any questions in chat right now. I see that some people, definitely some people are watching the AMA right now. And so they might have some questions around, you know, your trip to the US and the stuff that you've been doing and everything you just talked about. So I'm just going to give it a moment. Anybody, thank you, Gabi. Gabi already said, you know, that audio quality is a lot better now. So thank you. Yeah, we do try to make this as good as possible, but this being our first time, I hope you'll forgive us if there are some technical challenges sometimes. Is there any?
Yeah, just interrupt me because I think my cell phone was a bit too close to the microphone. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, and Alex is such an important person. Everybody's calling him all the time. So there you go. Is there any questions right now in chat that anybody would like to ask? Jeroen, are you watching our Telegram as well? Oh, I'm going to open our Telegram myself right here. See if there's any questions there. Feel free.
While you guys are selecting a question, I think there's one very important meeting that I forgot to mention. I actually had the privilege of meeting one of the co-founders of Star Atlas, and we've been. I'm sure. I think most of you guys are well aware of what Star Atlas is or what they're doing. If not, it's been one of the major gaming platforms and gaming titles on the Solana blockchain. And they're creating something amazing. They have a really cool game which is going to launch in 5 years, but they're already having a super dense community with a lot of space citizens that are eagerly waiting before they can actually start this space exploration. And one of the discussions that we have right now, or at least something that we're trying to explore, is to see how BMIP can actually become a part of that journey as well. They also have an open ecosystem just like us. And that's something that we hope to venture out further over the next 6 to 8 weeks. And we definitely hope to give you a bit more update on that. But the initial conversations that we had were super positive enough for myself to travel over to Miami and to meet the guys there.
Awesome. So Lil found something, actually, this is also for our team. So with Google, there's a few settings that determine the latency in the stream. And although we tried to set it to the lowest latency possible, I do see right now that there's a little bit of delay for people on stream and us. So when I ask them to ask a question, it might actually take up to 30 seconds for them to actually get that question and then be able to answer. For you guys out there, also feel free to ask your questions in the Telegram group. We're also monitoring that closely. Jeroen is paying attention to it. I'm paying attention to it. And we really want to make sure that all questions that you guys might have regarding our project right now are being answered. As for Star Atlas, Alex, I can't even tell you how excited I am about that myself, because obviously a lot of the people that are following this project might not know me at all, but one of the reasons I joined is because I've been an avid gamer for a long time, and I started hearing about a different game called Star Citizen back in 2011, I think, or 2012, and I got super excited about that. And that never really came to fruition the way I wanted it to. I did join Elite Dangerous very early on, which is one of the best virtual reality experiences out there. I really recommend that. So to be able to have such a close relationship with the guys at Star Atlas, and to, you know, kind of be able to look up to them as heroes, not just for what they're building there in terms of sci-fi experiences, but also in terms of the metaverse experience, for me is just, yeah, no, it's like a dream come true. Okay, well, I don't see any questions yet in the chat. Don't see any questions yet on Telegram. That's fine, guys. Take your time to think about the most difficult questions you could possibly come up with, so that we're gonna really sweat. We're really looking forward to that. So for now, I'd say that we are gonna move on. So next one up is going to be Jorrit Velsenboer, who is our one and only sexy CTO straight from Utrecht. Gonna tell you everything about what we're doing in the technical aspect of the project, what's going on, what are we building, what are our expectations. You can ask him anything about the roadmap. I really hope that you ask him some questions that he doesn't have an answer to, because he's such a smarty pants. I introduce to you all Jorrit Velsenboer. And he doesn't have a microphone. The microphone's not working, boys. No, it's still not working. Maybe, let me see if I can do something. It's on my side. It's on my side. I muted you guys because I thought that you were making a lot of noise. I think. Did I mute you? I probably did. How do I unmute you?
I think that Arthur has to unmute.
Oh yeah, you have to unmute yourself. Arthur has to do it.
Yeah.
I muted you to avoid any problems during stream. You're unmuted. Sorry guys, this is all on me. I'm supposed to take care of this. Here you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Jorrit Velsenboer.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, Aragorn, for all of the nice compliments. And, you know, talking about technicalities here, that's definitely, those kinds of questions are definitely should be asked to me. We've been working, you know, very excitedly on the project for about almost 2 years now, starting already with the metaverse in mind and all of the different possibilities we have there. However, you still have to be realistic, and that's why we said, okay, first we have to go for the actual business substance before we can, you know, start architecting our way in the ivory tower and making this metaverse available for everyone. So that's basically how we started off. We had quite some success cases in that area, and then as you know, as Daniel also mentioned, basically this year we started to really consider blockchain as the solution to also empower the metaverse and the ecosystem that we are building, not only for the businesses that we are integrating with, because in the end we are basically a B2B metaverse, but also involving the community and the investors and the gamers and everyone who is connected to all of the partners we're talking into our ecosystem. So very excited to, you know, answer any questions regarding the substance behind that and how that is going to work exactly in the future and right now. So very cool, I think, for me to also tell the community is that the coming year we will be working on a lot of different very cool projects. Many of them, they will be already very proper metaspaces where you can interact with the environment, with each other, with NFTs, you can connect your wallet to it. And in the meantime, we are building this SDK, which is basically a toolkit for developers, for the community, for basically all of the professional artists out there, everyone who is able to work with Unreal Engine to code, to design, to shape the worlds that they have all the way up in their head and manifest them in reality. So what we are seeing right now is there are a lot of people all over the world, a lot of communities of Unreal developers, Unreal artists that have amazing worlds on their hard drive. And our goal, our purpose here is to make sure that those worlds, those Metaspace, those creations come to flourish, become available for everyone to visit on any website, any gateway, to allow a whole marketplace next to it, different revenue models on top of that, and basically build that next step on top of the internet. So I think, I mean, there is a lot of substance to discuss, so I won't go too much in all of the details here. But I think on the one hand, all of the projects we're doing, we are building this amazing team around there with 3D modelers, 3D artists, Unreal developers, basically from all over the world to contribute in this system. On the other hand, with the platform, we're building this in-house team of very, very smart, very intelligent people who are able to, dive deep into scalability issues, into networking, into making sure that all of those worlds are operated properly on the highest possible level of quality that we can imagine. So I think that's very exciting to build this ecosystem of Metaspaces all over the world. I think that concludes it for a little bit right now. So if you guys have any questions also regarding, of course, more the crypto-related discussions, feel free to ask them to me, and we can answer them.
All right. Thank you so much, Jorrit, for that great story on the technical side of things. Well, so far, we actually did get one question in chat already, and it's a question that we might have not expected at all when we went through questions we would be expecting today. And the first question we actually got is from Ferna Hazan, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And his question is, when listing? so yeah, totally did not see that one coming. But thank you so much. We're definitely going to come back to that question. It's a promise. So before we get into that question and answering it, I'd like to give you guys a little update. As you might know, we went to a little conference last week, also known as Blockchains, the leading blockchain conference in Germany and probably one of the leading ones in Europe. It was quite an adventure, I have to say, because as some of you might know, in the Netherlands, there was a new lockdown and there was a lot of insecurity around what was going to be happening in our country and in Europe in terms of traveling. Oh, I'm getting a lot of messages now on the same time. Actually, Jeroen, can you just answer the Telegram, because they're asking for a YouTube link in the Launch Pool channel, and so I don't really want to miss out on that one. Just want to do that. Yeah, it's a tough job being the host of this show and also monitoring everything. Hopefully we'll be expanding our team very soon so that I don't have to pay attention to that stuff anymore. Anyway, it was very exciting to see what was going on and whether we would be able to go to Blockchains at all, but we did manage to make it, and it was a very, very worthwhile trip. We met a lot of people there with really interesting you're not seeing it. I see you shaking your head. Ooh, okay. It's okay. I'll fix that. Hoppatay, done. I've sent it to them. I put it on the channel, so it's so cool. So as for the conference, we met a lot of interesting people there, and I actually got to do a little talk there. And the funny thing is, and I'm kind of proud of this, and I kind of hope that you as a community will be proud with me. After my talk, the Blockchains organization came up to me and somebody said, like, well, that was actually the best talk we had here all day. So I'm not sure whether that was because I was doing it because it was a little bit hungover, I have to admit, because we had a really nice night networking the night before. But I definitely feel that it had a lot to do with the potential of what we're working on and the fact that the audience really recognized that. Obviously, we also got a lot of critical questions, so to speak. We actually had Fabian Vogelsteller, who is one of the, or if probably the most important person behind the Ethereum standard, come up to our stand and ask us, well, really give us some very difficult questions about the utility of our token and why we were building this and what we were expecting of it. But I think all in all, at the end of the conversation, he don't totally understand what we were trying to build, and he went from being very skeptical probably at the start to being pretty, confident and enthusiastic. Well, I wouldn't say enthusiastic, but anybody who knows him knows that he's not extremely enthusiastic. But he definitely was positive, and that was very nice to see, because across the board at the conference, what we saw happening all day long is that people were coming up to our stand, looking at our videos, asking us a lot of questions. And at first they might be like, what are you guys doing? You know, what is the metaverse and how does that even relate to a blockchain? Why are you guys doing a token? But I think that, and the guys in the office will probably agree that every single person that came up to our stand being skeptical would leave and be like, oh my God, how can I buy these tokens? How can I get in on this project? We literally had, I mean, there was one guy, and I'm not even kidding you. He came several times a day. He was begging for tokens. And at one point I said I had a headache, and he just ran off into the distance, grabbed a little bottle of something, came back, and he said, oh, I'm so sorry, I don't have painkillers, but perhaps if you put this on your head, that will help. You know, that's the kind of lengths people went through because they were so enthusiastic about what we're doing. And I have to say, that being the second week I was working at the company, seeing that kind of belief and devotion already to what we're building from people that I'd never met, people that had never met us, was truly inspiring. So yeah, so that was our blockchains event. So Magdalena is asking in the chat, and this is one for Jeroen. Have you got the questions from the Google form? So Jeroen, do you have the questions from the Google form? Because you need to ask me the questions from the Google form.
Yes.
Okay, so Jeroen's gonna get these questions. In the meantime, we're gonna quickly hop into another question that I see coming in from Mark Haywood. By the way, you know, Mark, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but this is actually your name, Mark Haywood, because Mark Haywood reminds me of Haywood in Cyberpunk 2077, which is like this neighborhood in, you know, a night city, and it just really being called Mark Haywood is so freaking awesome. Anyway, your question. How did you guys meet and come together on this project? So I think that's a really cool question. Oh, it's really your name. Okay, it's really his name, guys. It's really his name. Okay, so Mark Haywood, how did we get together? I think this is a question that should really be answered by the guys in the office, probably mainly Daniel, because he's the one that, you know, started us all on this journey before we even knew that we were going to be on it. So I'm going to switch over to interview, and I'm going to say, Daniel, please tell us a little bit about how we got together.
Yeah, sure, Aragon. All right. So the way we come together, the team came together was well, basically I started it a couple of years ago. I had this idea, like I mentioned in the introduction, beginning of 2019. Like I was asking Jorrit so many questions. I knew Jorrit from like a students startup community a while back in like 2013. We are both from Utrecht, and that startup community was for like students in Utrecht that wanted to, you know, set up their own startup. Yeah. So in July 2020, we started the BV. With the help
okay,
of...
so just sorry for interrupting you, Daniel, but for the people out there, a BV is actually a limited. So that's basically, you know, the legal structure in the Netherlands for a company. Yes, I know you never expected this, Daniel, but people that are not from this country might not know that.
Yeah, good one, Aragon. So with the help of my former employee now, employer, he was basically the first that gave me some money to start up the company, and one of his best friends is Alex, so my former boss, employer. He saw like, okay, Jorrit and Daniel, they are doing great things, but they can use some more organization, more structure, more business savviness. So that's how Alex joined the team, Sophie, my former boss. And that's how like the founding team came together.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, that was quite funny when because Daniel was already, you know, calling me basically every day about all of the business issues he was struggling with, and that this metaverse should be built. So then at some point he asked me, okay, Jorrit, can you please build the metaverse for me? In one of the phone calls.
Wait, let me get this straight. He asked you.
It was very exciting to go there. But I also told him, okay, before we start building the metaverse, before we start programming, let's first start off with a nice business plan where we, structure it. We need all of the different components in place. We need some. We need to do, go for the lean startup method. We need to validate basically our use case first with several businesses. We need someone next to us who is also going to lead all of the projects we're taking onto. The moment that part is structured, the business plan is in order. Yeah, sure, I can build the metaverse. And that's basically, I think, the story of basically how we came together and how Alex was also in there. And then basically last year we did quite a few successful projects with several quite big brands, big names. So that was very exciting, but I still didn't build the metaverse yet. So
we're really disappointed, Jorrit. I think everyone's really disappointed that you haven't built the metaverse yet.
I have not built the metaverse.
How are you going to fix this? I mean, how are you going to make it up to all these people that have been waiting for this for such a long time?
Yeah, I mean, 6 months was not enough time for me to build the metaverse by myself. So that's basically why we started hiring some developers beginning of the year. We made sure that the margins that we made on all of the projects were reinvested back into the platform. So it was really from the, the traditional business side of things, we tried to build this metaverse. But even doing that, we quickly also discovered, okay, this whole thing is a lot bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
It's basically an ecosystem of multiple businesses going for this metaverse direction. And when we started realizing that, we knew that we had to go for a more like ecosystem approach, where we are able to build an infrastructure, but in the end, the metaverse will be co-created with all of the different businesses, all of the creators, with the community, with everyone involved to partake in this.
I think that really
is way too big for me to program.
Can you hear me? Oh, you can. Okay. So
I can hear you.
Okay,
very well.
Cool. Yeah. No, so thank you so much. That's a great answer. At least I love it. I hope people are loving it. I'm looking at the chat here, and some more questions are coming in now. Also in relation to obviously the story that you or Daniel just told us. So I'd like to take an opportunity to go into some of these questions because that's what an AMA is for, after all. So we have Mats van Jaarveld here, who says, a great project. Metaverse is hot now. What is your competitive advantage to, for example, Realm? Anybody who wants to take this one? I see that our CEO wants to take this one. Yep.
Yeah, I think one of the primary, and I think it also sort of comes back to the previous question, is I think a lot of the projects I think they focus a lot on technology, and I think what we've been doing over the last year and a half is that we're playing around with a lot of the technology, making sure that we really fully understand the pipeline, working with the avatars, trying to figure out how we can actually integrate these products into campaigns that are already existing for companies out there. And the fact that we, I think, can really bridge between what's happening there in the real world and what we will see is going to happen in the metaverse is probably one of our big advantages, and that we also have, let's say, an easy accessible way for artists, for DJs, for athletes, for brands to onboard onto the metaverse, because we believe that we are the content creators of the future. And I think if you look at a number of the various other platforms, and we can do name dropping, but I think they are all primarily silos that they want to onboard people in it. But once you put your content in their silo, it becomes part of their intellectual property. And we believe that there should be a shared ownership of the metaverse. If it's a shared ownership for corporations, for individuals, for activists, for politicians, then it will actually work.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Alex. So I'd like to add to that, Mats. When you look at Realm, if we're completely honest, at this point, it can be very hard to say what are competitive advantages to a project like that. Obviously, Realm is also a great and very cool project. And I think that they aspire to more or less the same values that we do when you look at what they're trying to build. Ultimately, I also don't, I mean, yes, of course, we want to be the best, and we're always looking to get an advantage over any other project out there. I think that, you know, is at the core of what we're trying to do. And at the same time, I think that's very important to recognize that we here at Your Open Metaverse and as a team, we truly support everybody and anybody out there who is doing projects like our own. And because ultimately the metaverse is not just going to be your open metaverse, and it's not just going to be, you know, the artist formerly known as Facebook, now known as Meta's metaverse. There's going to be a lot of metaverses out there, and these metaverses will have meta galaxies in them, and these meta galaxies will have meta spaces in them. And in some way, it's going to be a brave new world, just like our current world, where now we have nations and we have continents, and we're going across borders into places where things are different than where we came from, with different currencies and different rules, and the same thing's going to happen in the metaverse. So for it to truly be successful, we want everybody out there to be successful, and we want to, have collaborations with these people and work together with them. So, if you know the guys at Realm, tell them that we're totally open for having a conversation, working together, and building the best possible, coolest metaverse out there, so that everybody can find what they're looking for, be who they want to be. So sorry, I get carried away there in my enthusiasm, but I think that kind of wraps that up, and I hope that's an answer to your question.
That's just really.
I think that Jorrit wants to say something.
Oh yes, is Jorrit being himself again with his snap of the fingers? Jorrit is the real CEO in our company. He's like always, where are the people that work for me? Get over here.
No, great. Am I on camera already?
Yes, you are.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Okay, so a clear distinction, I think, with most metaverses out there, most gaming projects that have integrated blockchain, is that we really defined the metaverse from the infrastructure, and then basically defining, okay, what is a metaverse and what is a metaverse not. So the first thing that we noticed is there are many metaverses, many gaming projects currently working with virtual land. And while virtual land is very cool from a technical perspective and from an infrastructure perspective, it's horrible. It's a horrible setup. And that's why we decided to introduce metaspaces. So what is the difference between a metaspace and virtual land? I think that's a very key point to define. A metaspace is basically a whole environment, including all of the mechanics, all of the gameplay, all of the code, all of the sounds, all of the whole story itself that you want to communicate, versus just a little bit of a piece of land within that level.
Yeah.
It's a very clear distinction in that sense. And from a technical point of view, having metaspace is a much better approach than selling a little bit of land. And why is that the case? Because within a metaspace, you can actually run and code your own game. So basically any metaspace that you will create can be a game on itself, can be a metaverse on itself, with your own token, your own NFTs and your own art style. I think that's a very key distinction with projects like Decentraland, with Realm, with all of those crypto blockchains that have already predefined what it should look like and what those meta spaces are. And what they have done, they have just said, okay, within a level, within a meta space, we just sell a little bit of land, but basically that land doesn't mean anything from a technical point of view. No, so that's, I think, one of the clearest distinctions between our platform and the gaming projects that have a blockchain element to it.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that obviously right now Decentraland is very hot. There's a lot of stuff like that going on outside, and I truly hope that people that invest in Decentraland, etc., that's going to be a good investment, right? And that it's going to work out for them. But me personally, and I believe most on the team here, and that is expressed in the fact in something that I'll get to, we don't really believe in virtual real estate as something to sell. Because the whole idea of real estate is that, there's a location and there's a scarcity and there's people commuting through it. That's why, you know, it's valuable. You put some advertisement up, or there's people that want to live outside of the city. But in the metaverse, there's no such thing as location, because everything is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. I mean, there's no location in the metaverse. There's also no distance, right? And there's also no scarcity of space. So that concept to us is just not something that we believe in. We believe in a place where everybody, just like Jorrit just said, can build their own world and build their own experience to their own aesthetics. Every brand, every creator, every artist out there can create something for others to enjoy exactly the way they wanted to create. And the only limitation to it will be the engine, which in our case is Unreal Engine. But considering what Unreal Engine is capable of, it was a very conscious choice for us in the team to decide to use that engine because of the options it gives everybody. And it will continue to grow into the future. So thank you for that, Jorrit. Okay, so let's see if I'm getting all the questions here, because now the questions are pouring in, which is great, of course. We have Paul Stone here saying, "Hi guys, nice to see you. I'm new to the space. I was wondering what the competition would be like for this project, if applicable, and how it would differ to them." Well, I think that we kind of already went into that question to some extent. If you want to go deeper, please let us know. Tim, thank you. Cross collaboration is important. We absolutely believe so, yes. Let's see. Paul Stone, great point. Sam. Thank you, Sam, for joining the stream. Magdalena, of course, our ambassador, and Grace is also there. Jelmer, can you travel between metaspaces via portals? Asking for a friend. Great question. And the answer is, well, yes. Ultimately, that's what we're aiming to create, is a place where you could go to an Armin van Buuren concert, and then you could just, you know, use an NFT portal and go to the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam and look at some art in a virtual exposition, if that was what you're looking to do. Of course, how that will exactly work will differ from experience to experience. Metaspace is Metaspace, because if Armin van Buuren has a ticket sale, you might not be able to go there from, you know, the Nike store that you've been visiting if you don't have a ticket, right? So limitations like that will definitely play a role. Another thing that we're already thinking about how to handle this is if we are allowing different metaspaces to have their own aesthetics and their own skins, you know, how is it going to work if you have an NFT jacket that you bought at one experience and you want to take that to another experience? If in the first experience you're a human being and in the second experience you're a fox, right? Which is something that's totally possible by the time we get this working. But the honest truth is that we don't have all the answers right now for this stuff. We know that technically it will be possible. There will be solutions to it, and we will work to create those as we go. And it's a brave new world that we're working towards. Okay, so let's see, where are we at? Yes, we went into kind of AMA session, but before we continue, I will give everybody some time to get some more questions in chat and in Telegram. I didn't really pay attention to the Telegram, but I think everything's okay there. Oh yeah, so Jeroen is waving. So we're gonna do two things. First of all, Jeroen finally has the Google Forms with the questions, so he's gonna ask them in a bit. But before we do that, Jeroen is gonna give us a quick update on what's going on in the community. So Jeroen, it's all you, buddy.
Thank you very much, Aragorn. And I think we all here realize that you're such a great hire to the team, because you literally said everything that's possible about our vision, where we're standing, and of course, what we believe in. And that's also the main part, because that's why I got hired too. I know Jorrit from like a previous adventure at another company. We worked close with each other. And one time I met him again. He told me about his vision. He told me about he wants to change the world. In this case, he wants to create a metaverse, a space, a galaxy where everybody, a developer, an artist, or it doesn't matter who you are or where you believe in, is just all equal and just, share their creativity. Just keep that there and share it with others. And I was so intrigued, I thought, you know what, this is going to be my dream too, because I got really goosebumps when I got that story. So let me take you back from the beginning, because I'm sitting here now after, let's say, maybe 1 week or something. I'm here for 1 week and a half, working together with this amazing team, which is already being like a really great adventure. As a like community lead, I'll be doing a lot of stuff with the new YOM ambassadors, which basically are ambassadors of the brand of Your Open Metaverse. We're trying to engage more and more with other people who share our beliefs, who want to like enable a world where artists, developers, creators can just be themselves, can create what they want to create without borders, you know, just be there and develop. And yeah, so I've been working on a program. It's called Yombassador Program. We're gonna like launch it soon. It's gonna be live like in a couple of weeks, and from that point, we're gonna like there are gonna be lots of people joining this program. They'll be sharing, of course, a lot of content on the metaverse, but also on our vision of YOM, and also they get really well rewarded. More details will follow. I won't get into detail right now. So let me take you a little bit back to where it all started, because that was for me like 1.5 weeks ago. We started with this Telegram group, which maybe included 350 members, and it is increased already until like 1.7k followers right now. I mean, after 1.5 weeks, and that's, to me, that's insane. That's cool. That's really that gives us a lot of support, and that motivates us to do even better and, well, make our working hours even like longer and just be there for you guys. Secondly, our Twitter account, we just had maybe 43 followers, exploded up to a point about 15,500 followers. So we are extremely proud that like other people definitely hear our message, and that I hopefully, well, they definitely gonna hear, like a lot of people gonna hear our message too around the globe. I was wondering also in this chat, because I'm here, have a laptop, so sometimes you people see our faces turning to the right. Well, for us it's to the right, for you guys to the left. But I see like people going on in the chat, which is pretty cool. Thank you for that. But are there any like artists or developers or creators now in this chat who might be willing to join this entire new, well, metaverse that we are creating? Just like say something like shout out, yo, I'm here. That would be great. I'm checking it now. Let us know in the chat, and we might just get back to you, maybe for some cooperation. Yeah, so that's me, Jeroen, and I'm well. I can't wait to work with you guys, and to have another AMA soon. And of course, I'm gonna put as much as progress online so you guys can follow us on every detail as possible.
Thank you, Jeroen. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Yeah, so yeah, actually, it is really crazy. I mean, honestly, I was having a conversation this week, and I think it's more or less the same for Jeroen, where like a few months ago during the pandemic, I was kind of struggling. You know, I didn't know what was going on, didn't know what I was going to do with my life, with my business, and for years and for years and for years, I've had this passion for the metaverse. I mean, I got my Vive headset hanging here. I got an Oculus, which, you know, we can't really mention that brand anymore, unfortunately, but, you know, that's how I started out. And I have like Alexa is here as well. Hey, Alexa, how you doing?
Well, it's Friday, so there's only one way to answer to that question. I'm feeling great.
So yeah, so as you guys can tell, I'm already trying to get into that metaverse. I've been watching Tron the movie on how to do that. So far, no success though. But yeah, we're so excited, because for basically everybody on this team right now, it feels like, and I know this is gonna sound over the top maybe, but it feels like we found, you know, our dream job in our dream company, where we're really doing something that's not just super cool, but it's also really gonna change the world. So we got some more questions in chat now, so let's have a look at those. So Mats again with a really great question. He said, how easy will it be to create your own metaverse or metaspace, which I'm adding, he didn't write that, but as a translation, for a non-techie? So I'm going to look at the team over there. Really great question. Before any of them might want to answer it, they're shaking their head. You know, I was going to answer this, but maybe I'm going to give this to Jorrit because I think he kind of wants to.
No, he's technical.
Oh.
It should be answered by a non-technical person.
It should be answered by non-technical. Okay, then I'm going to answer it. Even though I'm kind of... No, somebody else want to... Oh, wait, you want to answer it? Who wants to answer it? Okay, I'm going to answer it. I'm going to answer it. Okay, so I am not as non-technical as most people, I'll admit that. And, you know, the fact that I have all this tech right here tells that story. But I'm not a coder, right? I'm not a coder. I don't like that kind of stuff. So I think that the important thing to realize is we're using Unreal Engine 5. And so technically, if you really want to go all out, if you really want to be able to do, you know, anything and everything you could possibly think of, then you'll need to be able to use Unreal Engine, right? And that's not easy. Although there's a lot of great content out there that you can use to educate yourself. One of our partners, for example, VR Division, has a great channel on YouTube where our buddy Yahya is continuously putting out amazing content to teach you how to do that. And anybody can learn that. So, but ultimately, I think that we're going to be working towards creating a place where you will be able to create simple metaverses, perhaps even simply like you do in a game like Roblox, how you create your environment. But I think that we also have to be realistic, and that's not going to be something that will be available, you know, very soon. It's not going to be next year, for example, and it might not be within 2 years. It might take a little longer than that, because ultimately as a project, what we're focused on right now is getting creators and brands on there that will make this world come alive so that it's worthwhile for you to go there and to be there. For those brands that do not have the capability of the resources to build these worlds on their own, obviously we will also provide services to help them with that. And as such, we're already talking to some really big brands out there. Perhaps Alec wants to say something about it. I don't know. We can't really talk about some of it yet, but I promise you guys, we get some really exciting stuff coming up where we're already working on projects that will be available on the platform. So I hope that answers your question. If not, please let us know. We'll take it down and then we will try to give you a better answer or try to come up with the answers. Obviously, because, you know, this project is ongoing and we haven't even had our IDO yet. There's a lot of stuff that we just don't know yet because we're working on it, right? You might have a roadmap, but as Sun Tzu said, you know, a strategy and a tactic is only good until the first engagement. And we're really having engagements every day right now that are changing our vision on how we're supposed to do this and our understanding of what our audience really wants and needs. And so we're trying to take all of that into account. So I hope that answers your question, but, you know, let us know.
And I think, Argon, just to add to that.
Absolutely, go ahead.
I think it's quite important to understand that the reason why this perhaps as a perceived difficult environment, why we chose for this is because there is a global community of creators that can work with Unreal Engine. I think most of 65% of all major games are being developed on Unreal Engine. We're seeing huge VFX productions in Hollywood, Mandalorian being created by that. Just today we had an amazing trailer drop about from Matrix that will really blow your mind. For the guys who and the girls who haven't seen that, really go check that out. It's really cool. So that's the reason for us why we believe we should be at Unreal, because it gives such a high quality, such a high fidelity, and it opens up a global community of creators that we believe has to engage, because the guys, and it doesn't really matter how fast we grow our team, we can never grow it fast enough for the demand that's out there. So if we have global communities creating really cool stuff, really cool content, and they are actually able to upload that, to monetize on it, to sell that, to get their friends and family acquainted with it, then we actually succeed succeeded what we wanted to do. We are not going to succeed if we're going to make a relatively what you see is what you get type of web interface where you can create in a simple manner a house or an environment that really doesn't look that cool. So that's probably my point on that. Was there another question that I forgot to answer, Horn?
No. I think you did. There are more questions in the chat, however. So let's see if we can answer those. We got RA. Does that stand for Red Alert? I'm not sure. RA is asking, is it going to support mobile iOS and Android?
Yes, I think it's great question because we sort of banned the word. Well, not banned, but we sort of banned the word VR or virtual reality ending when we said goodbye to 2020. One of the things that we see, at least in the B2B world, when we start talking about virtual reality, VR headset, people tend to shy away. They say, Alex, we've been hearing about virtual reality ever since '95. Every 5 to 10 years, some random guy steps in. Today, you're that random guy, and you're going to try and sell me VR. So it's never going to happen. And I think whether you agree with that or not, it really was an eye-opener for me personally. So I said, we're going to stop talking about virtual reality. We are an immersive storytelling agency. That's basically the way that we coined ourselves, the way we phrased ourselves out there before we could use the word metaverse, because if we would start talking about metaverse beginning of 2021, people would actually zone out immediately. But you know, we build content for mobile phone first. And if it works on the mobile phone, it works better on a 60-inch screen. If it works on a 60-inch screen, it works even better on a virtual reality headset. So we are technology agnostic. We don't really mind what type of technology our clients and customers use. However, what we know and expect is that 95% will consume that content over their phone.
Awesome.
And
yeah.
I think Jorrit wants to add to that.
Oh, yeah. Does Jorrit want to add to that? Okay, so thanks, Alex, for that. Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think ultimately we really aim to be cross-platform, cross-device. Okay, I'm clicking wrong here. I gotta click on Jorrit's head, pin him here. Also, before you start, Jorrit, Jeroen, I love it that you're sending me the questions on Teams, but I'm actually using Teams for the stream, so I can actually open the chat. Thank you. Jorrit, go ahead.
Okay, perfect.
Jorrit, you wanted to answer cross-platform, cross-device? Go.
Yeah, cross-device. I think that's a very important topic from multiple perspectives. Of course, from the consumer perspective, for the gamer perspective, okay, which device can I use to play this? I think one of the key USPs that we are developing is that we don't provide one entry to this platform. We make everything available from the cloud. So by doing that, every company that we work with, that we collaborate with, can basically embed their own Metaspace on their own website. So that means, as opposed to, for example, the Decentraland or Facebook or Meta, where you have to go to one specific entry point to enter this space, we basically create multiple windows into the same metaverse. And this metaverse is not something that is rendered on the clients, on people's devices, but it's rendered in the cloud. And we do that for multiple reasons. One of them is that if you render it in the cloud, you get the highest possible graphical fidelity, and you can then basically from that entry point, you can stream it to all possible devices. So if you have an older laptop, if you have a mobile phone, if you have a gaming computer, doesn't really matter, you get the same experience. So that from a consumer perspective, from the developer point of view, it's very, very hard to build a game for multiple devices. And that has to do with optimizing it for different levels of graphics. So if you are a brand and you want to create your optimal brand experience, you want to optimize for the best possible quality. And the way to do that is to not make it compatible with Android or your mobile phone, but by making it compatible with the cloud. And from the cloud, it can be streamed to any device, including your mobile phone.
Okay.
So that way, it becomes very easy for developers to build their own meta spaces without having to think about all of those different platforms.
Okay, Jorrit. Okay, but here's Aragorn, not the CMO of Euro Metaverse, but here's Aragorn, the gamer, right? I love to play my Apex Legends on the weekends, and you know, I have a pretty big ass computer here because I like to, you know, have the best kind of experience. I have friends that have Google Stadia and alternative services like that allow them to stream games, right? And yes, you're right. I mean, the rigs over there have great capacity. So, also, you know, technically on that side, you would have no limitations in terms of fidelity. But I can't actually play Apex Legends like that because the lag is too big. So, you know, just to answer you or ask you a difficult question on behalf of the audience,
Sure.
How are we going to deal with that in the future?
Yeah, I think two very important points. If you are a hardcore gamer going for those 4K experiences like Assassin's Creed, Apex Legends, etc., then of course you should just be able to have that game on your device and be able to game in it, being, you know, very immersed in that game. It's a slightly different use case. On the other hand, so next to, of course, the offline experiences, which will, depending on your hardware, will be a better experience. On the other hand, there are already a lot of applications being developed as cloud applications at the moment. For example, you have the creation tool MetaHumans, which is completely rendered in the clouds, which has a very, very low latency. At the moment, Google Stadia developed their solution, I think a little bit too early.
The heat's set to 21.
Because at the moment, we
Sorry,
see that
I'm not sure.
Because at the moment we see that all of the cloud solutions that are developed right now, they do provide this very low latency graphical fidelity. And with 5G and improved internet connections, we will be seeing a lot more streaming services going into that direction. So the fidelity will be lower and lower as we progress with time.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of answers the question and the concerns that you have. For virtual reality, it's a little bit of a different story, because in virtual reality, it is essential that you have very, very low latency between your headset and the controllers that you use. So in that sense, you are right. But even for virtual reality, in a few years from now on, we will have the GPUs and the cloud solutions available to also support that in a very highly graphical way. So that is the future that is going to bring us.
Yeah, thank you, Jorrit. So I'd like to add to that a lot of this also depends. I mean, ultimately on our platform, of course, you know, there will be many meta spaces, meta galaxies, etc., etc. But each brand, each artist, each individual or organization that builds a meta space, ultimately, you know, the data of that meta space and the people in it will be in our blockchain. But there will still, of course, be the question of the hardware that's behind it and where they're hosting it. You know, the pixel streaming technology. And I think that what we'll see happening in the next few years is that a lot of this tech will change a little bit like the way Netflix have set up their service. I don't know if you ever noticed, but if you watch a video on Disney Plus or Prime, and it's the first night that it's online or it's available or it's very popular, like Squid Game, for example, then servers start going down. Basically, every television service has this. It doesn't matter. Disney, Prime, Apple, the only service around the world that never has any problems, no matter how many million people are watching at the same time, is Netflix. And the reason is that they've built an extremely special infrastructure. I won't go into the details right now because I'm not even technical enough for that, but they've built an infrastructure where basically they bring that experience data as close to your house as possible on a hub, so that you don't have to go all across the internet to get that connection, right? And what you'll see happening in the next few years as we're developing our project is that the pixel streaming technology is going to be doing the same thing. And so that will ultimately mean that a lot of people will get much closer to the actual machines or the infrastructure hardware that's running their personal experience. And only between those hubs will there be data transfer to allow for that experience where I'm actually meeting Jeroen in the same space at the concert. So I really believe that what George just said, you know, that tech is being developed. It's gonna be here because the demand is here, the need is here. People want this. I mean, look at the interest in our project right here. So if it's not there today yet, it will be there, and we will make sure that it integrates with whatever we're doing. So let's see. Jeroen is holding his finger up. Before I go to Jeroen, there's one question from the chat that. You want to do that? How about this? We'll answer the questions in the chat, but first we'll go through Jeroen and whatever he wants to ask and the Google form questions that he has ready. How does that sound?
To me, or yeah, of course, sounds perfect. But
I got a really good feeling about this.
Oh yeah, nice.
Okay, go ahead.
So actually, I wanted to say that we have a really nice question in the chat.
Yeah.
Let's say before we continue to the Google Forms, I want to give the ball back to you, Aragorn, because this question is really something that we should like zoom in on, actually.
And that question is it? I'm looking at a question, but I don't know if you're looking at the same question.
When can we meet in the Beam Up Metaspace?
When can we meet in the Beam Up Metaspace? Hell yeah!
That's a good question, right? So
Yeah.
So that's a great question. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I know that we've been working on it. We've been working on it. Yeah, let's give it to Alex then, because he can answer this question. I feel really dumb right now.
I think this has been one of the first questions ever since we started doing demos for construction companies, for wine companies. So this saying, okay, why are you doing this over Teams? Why are you doing this still with obviously with PowerPoint? And the reason for that initially was last year was the fact that we want to put it in such a high quality. The good thing now is that with the amount of funding that we've got from the community, that we can actually do that. So one of the first thing is, and one of the questions is that we also get from friends and family is, what will be the initial entry point? Will there be a starting point when you enter the Beam Up Metaverse? And initially our answer to that was no, because it really depends. If you are a hip hop fan, it might be that your favorite artist has a Metaspace where you start your journey, and then you would actually hop on to, let's say, a Prada, a Metaspace, or whatever. Because this question came up so often, so we were saying we might actually think of having an alternative starting point, which is going to be that Beam Up Metaspace, where we allow people to have, well, perhaps some sort of a functionality that Google had. I'm not sure if they still have it. I'm feeling lucky today, where you can actually say, okay, just teleport me to wherever you think I should be today. To answer the question, this is something that we at our creative team are thinking of today, we're working on it, and we hope, obviously all the attention today is, because the question is still out, when are we going to launch? And we can continue to say Q1 of 2022, but I can definitely say that this is something that we're working on in parallel to make sure that while we're working on the roadmap towards a platform launch, that we will definitely have some really cool DJ Metaspaces, but also a Beam Up Metaspace that can just transport you to wherever you want to be.
Cool, thank you, Alex. I'd like to add to that a little bit, because there's a little story here that people might enjoy. So before I joined Beam Up, I was actually working in VR division with Yaya, and one of the ideas that we came up with, and I also discussed when I joined Beam Up, and I'm still hoping that we're really going to make this happen, was to build Elon Musk's house in the metaverse, and then we can trash it. Then somebody told me, which I actually did know, is that he actually moved into a mini
Tiny
home,
house.
a tiny house. And so there, the problem was that, you know, we can't really receive 1,000 people in a tiny house, even in virtual space. So it was kind of disappointing. But I'm really thinking that we should just build Starship in the metaverse, in Unreal Engine, and then we'll just have a party in Starship. And then we can launch it into Star Atlas. How does that sound?
Very good plan.
Okay, so let's have. I see Daniel's laughing. He's like, "Oh, I've been dreaming about this for years."
And also, Aragorn, I have to say something because while you're doing this on parallel, I also have my WhatsApp open. I have friends and family, and we have a new alias for Jeroen.
Oh, for Jeroen. Is it?
Yes.
What is it?
I was asked before he introduced himself if I could explain who that Ken Mister actually is.
Ken, Mister.
Yeah, you know, from Barbie.
From Barbie
Come
and
on.
Ken.
Oh,
Oh my
yeah.
Wait, I don't know. I don't think we talked about this yet. But last week we were in Hamburg, and literally everybody came to your stand, and they were like, "Hey, are you from Boston? Are you this from Boston, son?" Unbelievable. I personally, I've taken to calling him Long Boy, but yeah, we keep on bringing us these names. I really love it. I really love it.
Yeah. So let's move over to the questions because we've been waiting so long for these Google form questions.
Yeah, they're very exciting. So let's have it, Jeroen.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Aragorn, and good to know, Alex. Great. I definitely have different characters to aim at in the metaverse. So the first question we received, we got a lot of questions actually. So I'm not gonna get them all in now, but I'll choose one, and you guys are quite surprised at that, I suppose. So hi, I'm from Indonesia. I've been following YOM for a very long time. When can I buy YOM? So
didn't we? When listing, didn't we get that one at the start too? Yes. When Moon.
Yeah, we were quite surprised by this question, of course, but I hope this question has been answered. So we're aiming on the Q1 in 2022. So if you want to know any further details, please follow us on the announcement channel.
Follow us on the Discord, and the links are down in the bottom. Yeah, actually, I'd like to add to that yes, Q1 is not a very precise answer, and we are aware of this, and we do understand that all of you can't wait for us to list this token, sorry. But the truth is that on our side, although we're really looking forward as well, I think that ultimately it's important to understand that the absolute most important thing for us is that when we go live, when we do our IDO, that we do it and everything's ready so that you guys, the investors, the users, everybody that wants to be involved with this can be confident that it's not going to be a one-day fly. It's not going to be, I hate this disgusting phrase, but a pump and dump. We do not want that. We want it to be quality. And so we are willing to postpone, and we did already, because ultimately we were aiming at start of December, which people that we've been with us for a while know we didn't do, but we're willing to postpone. And in that sense, I think that ultimately quality goes over that launch. But we promise to keep you updated at all times of what decisions we make on this, how we go forward, and if there's any changes. Please make sure to follow us on Telegram. We got the community, we got an announcement channel. You can find it there. You can follow our Twitter. We promise we will keep you up to date on that. Thank you. Jeroen, next question.
Thank you, Aragorn. So another question I felt was really important is this one. What makes your metaverse truly open? I mean, what are the differences between yours and another's metaverse? And I think we already discussed it a little bit, but maybe we should point out something clearly that I'm gonna give the word to Jorrit, because I think Jorrit is the right person to answer this question with a lot of detail, and I think that's what the people need to know now.
Yeah, I think, we already touched a little bit on this point already with all of the different meta spaces that are for you as a creator able to completely customize it to however you want it to be. So that's your part in it. of course, built on top of Unreal Engine, which means that all of the assets you will be using, all of the stuff that you're creating is also your own. So it's not bound to a specific platform or specific format that you need to make your assets available for. So on that note, and then also I think if you really zoom in onto what it means for a platform to be open, then that point is also where the blockchain comes in. So it's not just, of course, the publishing and the availability of those metaspaces, but it's also about ownership, and it's about being able to tokenize your code, tokenize your plugins, tokenize your wearables and creations to be tradable, to be mintable to any platform, any exchange, or any NFT platform. We are also building one for ourselves. It's going to be some kind of aggregation marketplace where all of the items within Unreal Engine, all of the 3D assets that are created can be published to. So that way, as a creator, the moment you own that piece of art, that wearable, you are able to publish it to your own website, but you can also mint it to a marketplace so that you can transfer your ownership from your item to someone else. Someone else is able to wear it. You can, as a creator, define how many versions of that item you want to mint. As a creator of a Metaspace, you can even say, okay, I'm going to transfer the ownership of this Metaspace, including all of the code, to someone else. So this other person has direct access to all of the source files. He can change it to however he likes, and then publish it on his own website. So that way you have the ideal balance of a platform that is open and interoperable, and where ownership is transferred among all players in a very ethical and fair way.
So Jorrit, does that mean that perhaps one day I'll be able to buy a Jeroen, aka Longboy, aka Ken skin on the Metaverse and then use that as my avatar?
It depends on Jeroen. So you say, okay, Jeroen as a creator makes a full body scan of himself and says, okay, I'm going to publish my scan and make 30 variants out of it. Then yes, those variants can of course then be owned by other players. But of course, it depends on Jeroen whether he wants to do that.
I'm so glad I joined this company.
So I think that's where the most important decisions will be
awesome.
Helped by Jeroen as a creator of himself.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
you're an inspiration to everybody. Jeroen. Actually, this is no joke to all of you people out there who might be wondering, what goes on in our offices. Jeroen has been motivating all of us to get back into shape and to do more sports, because the man is a legit kite surf coach next to his job for us. And basically, he's been telling us all that we need to work out more, need to move more, need to be more active, and all of that good stuff. So we're really happy to have Jeroen, especially when I'm having that extra cake every day. So
I'm glad to be part of a healthy company here. Thank you.
Yeah, this is also the reason why Jeroen is wearing a Solana t-shirt.
Yeah,
because you have Solana as the blockchain, but you also have Solana Beach. And Solana Beach, you can do very good kite surfing.
Exactly. Okay, so Jeroen, I got the questions here finally. Yeah. You want to ask them to me? That's not like a nice setup. You ask me, then ask question. Next question.
I'll ask you the questions. Have you seen the question in the chat, by the way, about your t-shirt?
About my t-shirt? You mean my cap? Or my t-shirt? Did I miss that one?
No, the cap.
Oh, wait. It's not about your t-shirt.
It's about my cap. Yeah, so, yeah.
Sorry.
This is a Shanghai Dragons cap I'm wearing. And, I used to be really proud of that. I guess I can still be proud of it because the team Shanghai Dragons is amazing. For those that don't know, this is an Overwatch esports team. Unfortunately, Blizzard hasn't been in the news for very positive things lately, so that's unfortunate. But in terms of this team, they're really amazing. Like I said, I'm a gamer as well, next to doing this job, and I've been very active in Overwatch in the past and been following that esports. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing.
Thank you, Aragorn. I just wanted to make a joke, but it's okay. Anyway, privacy is a huge concern in this space and the world at large today. How safe is your technology in terms of users and businesses' data privacy protection?
Great question. I think that's a really great question. But I think that that actually this is, let me put it out there right now. This is very, very, very important to us. And if you go back in time and you look at where Daniel was when he started this journey into the metaverse and started thinking about, what is it we want to realize, and then he called Jorrit and he said, Jorrit, built a metaverse for me. At that time, there, crypto and the whole, Bitcoin and blockchain movement that came out of the, the launch of Bitcoin, that was still very, under wraps. It was very low. It was a very, niche community on the internet. But as that grew, obviously, in the last few years, especially with all the developments around tokens and NFTs, we realized at some point that this is absolutely something that we essentially need to use as a technology. And I think it's very exciting because I think we have this development around the metaverse in terms of how we're moving from the flat internet as we've known it to Web3, into three-dimensional space, and include more and more senses and even sound and all of that stuff, which is very exciting. But on the back side of that, the technology is still an issue. I mean, Facebook, or the artist formerly known as Facebook, now called Meta, they really screwed up. Let's face it, they screwed up with our data. There's been all these things happening the last few years where our data, our privacy was basically violated. Our data was misused. The Cambridge Analytica thing going on in the US was, of course, horrible. And they're trying to, give it a positive swing or vibe, but it isn't. And so this is actually really what, in a way, set us apart for a project when you compare what's going on in the metaverse in general, is that we wanted to make sure that users and business data privacy is protected and secure. And that's the whole reason that we decided to build all of this on top of a blockchain, on top of our token. Of course, to some extent, the only way that will really be safe is if people actually use it, if the platform comes alive. And that's why right now we are very, very, very focused, specifically Alex, on building partnerships, on building collaborations, on bringing big brands, big artists, big creators onto the platform, so that as soon as possible we can start populating this world, and tokens are being used to create the world on exchanges as well. Jorrit is working on that, all of that, to secure that data privacy and make sure that it's truly, truly decentralized.
And I think, just to add on top of that, Aragorn, one of the things that we think is quite important is that if you are on the Facebook platform, Meta, then basically all your data is exposed because you're paying with your data. That's the whole agreement that's being made between Facebook and their users, even though perhaps most of the users are not really aware of it. At least they're not aware of the extent of the privacy breach that is happening on that platform. So what we've said, and that's also a great thing in a great talk that we had with Fabian from Luxo last week. He has a great mindset on how that future. How these future profiles should look like, and I think one of his core outsets that he actually gave in his keynote that we were planning as well, but throughout his talk we actually were able to specify that even more. We are going to make certain user profiles available on the blockchain, and we're going to allow the users eventually to sort of decide with a slider perhaps, or with a wheel or whatever, to decide how much of their personal data they want to expose to your open metaverse platform, and perhaps also even to the companies and the activists, etc., that roam within that metaverse. And that means that you can actually decide, I'm just going to dial it down. I don't want anybody to see what I'm doing here, and that's perfectly fine. That also means that when you, for instance, come into a specific concert and you're wearing a cap of a certain brand, and that brand actually wants to pay you because you're going to be one of their ambassadors, that you're not going to receive those tokens because you said there's going to be no interaction between my personal data and that specific brand. And there might be people saying, okay, I would like to go, expose a little bit of myself and actually allowing to have a specific interaction with a company or a good cause or whatever, but then you decide. And I think that control is quite important. And it's also good to know that we're not earning on your data. We have a completely different business model. And perhaps Jeroen, because I think I saw a question over there, which was also touching upon this part. I think I saw a question saying, can you please explain your business model to us? And I think it really ties very good into what I'm talking about right now. So we have an agency business where companies or people or DJs come in and say, I would like to have this Metaspace. Please, guys, build it for me. Please make sure I can have people or fans or specific audience in that Metaspace. Once we've built the Metaspace, once we perhaps build a small army of avatars or DJs or whatever, then we can host it. When we're hosting it, we're coming into our platform strategy. Since we are not earning on the people there, people have been asking us how would that economy work? Trading that happens between the metaverse, our metaverse, and the outside world would actually go through our exchange, our marketplace that we're going to set up, and there would be a commission. We're considering what that commission should be, but it should be much less than what you see happening there today. It needs to sustain some of the core functionality, nothing more. The primary income that we think and that we expect to happen is for companies onboarding on the platform and engaging with the community. They probably have to pay a little bit of a fee because they have the opportunity to engage with that community. And that's how we see those two different business models work for us.
Yeah. And I think ultimately, and this is also important to realize for everybody out there, is that even though at the first, we might be onboarding brands, we might be onboarding creators and artists, anybody really that wants to build an experience, ultimately in the longer run, we will not be the only ones doing that. There will be other agencies out there doing the same thing. Or, if your company or your brand has its own team, that are Unreal Engine savvy, etc., they can do it themselves, right? So it's not like we're trying to, we absolutely don't want to monopolize that either. We want to create an open place, a square, so to speak, in the virtual world, in the metaverse, where people can come together and build their own stuff. And if they want, they can hire us. And obviously, our advantage will be in our own metaverse, that it will be first movers, and that's enough for us. Okay, there's some more questions out there, and we are kind of coming up to the end of the stream. It's been an hour and a half, so I kind of want to go through them because I don't want people to feel like they filled in our form and we didn't even answer their questions. So let's see. We got a few here. I'm just going to skip to the first one that I have here. No, I answered that one. Do you have any partnerships with businesses or advisors that can bring a way bigger amount of audience to your metaverse? So the answer to that is we are definitely talking to some really big brands to do that. Unfortunately, until we have finalized any of that, we really can't say much about it. But I would say that, yes, it's absolutely our goal to, before Q1 or before our IDO, to have some serious partnerships in place. So we're working on that. Next question. Where do you see the project in 2 years? That's another great question. I think that in 2 years' time, what we'll have is a platform that already hosts experiences, already hosts, maybe concerts or stores or things that we can't even come up with, games, perhaps community spaces, or something like a metaverse version of ArtStation. I really can't say. That really depends on the partnerships that we can build, and the brands and the artists and the content creators that we can convince to come onto our platform. And for that, we really need your help as well. I mean, our community right now is really the number one driver for us. I mean, the more people talking about this, the more people talking to us, the more people being aware of this amazing opportunity, the better we will be able to create that idyllic scenario in 2 years. So that's what we're working towards, and I hope that answers your question. If it does not answer your question because there's a different layer to it that you want answered, feel free to let us know. Actually, I'm just going to say this right now. This AMA will return. We're aiming to do this once every 2 weeks or once every month. So right up into the IDO, there will be several more AMAs, obviously. And any question that we don't answer today, we'll definitely answer in the future. So another question I have here is, I'm just going to... Another question I have here is, will YOM have an airdrop later? So yes, there will be airdrops. In fact, I think there will be several airdrops for different reasons and different things. One of the things that we've already been working on at Blockchains is we had a QR code where people could scan the QR code, give us their Solana public address and their information, and they will receive a very unique NFT Blockchains jacket that they will be able to claim once our once our metaverse goes live, and that they will be able to take to events and experiences within there. So that's going to be an airdrop later on. And I suggest that you get onto our channels, get onto Telegram, get onto our Twitter, follow us there, because there will be airdrops, but that's the place to find out about them. Next question: what will be the first product step in the metaverse of the YOM team? Yeah, that's a great question. And unfortunately, that's one that's going to be hard to answer because, as I just mentioned before, we're talking to some really cool stuff, cool people, cool organizations, cool artists. And it really depends on which one's going to be, which project we will be able to finish first, which deal we have in place first. And that will determine what's going to be the first step. But as Alex said before, we also decided that we might make, or we're actually already working on something that will be kind of like a voyeur or a lobby on the metaverse. So when the platform really goes live, that will probably be one of the first things that will be available. Next step, future partners. Another great question. Well, I think I've already answered that in questions before this. We want more partners. We're looking for partners. We're even totally open to talking to other metaverse projects out there that are more or less on the same page as us. So please send them on to us, because we cannot have enough partners. If you want to know what partners we have right now, I suggest you have a look at the website, yom.community, where you can find anything regarding our current partnerships, or at least our partners currently. So yom.community. Another question: may the number of coins that will be burned, may they be sent to a fund for the underprivileged in the ASEAN and around the world? This is a great question, and I think that we're definitely fans of doing things for the world, doing things for the community, and doing good in the world. There will, however, not be any coins that will be burned, because we have a different tokenomics, so there won't be any burned coins. But I really like this question, and I'm looking at the team here. I think we'll take this back with us, and we'll definitely have a think on, if there's anything more that we could do back that's along these lines. So if you have any ideas around that, we also invite you to share them with us.
Aragorn, can I quickly?
Yep.
Because in our tokenomics, we do mention a token burn and that's also what I mentioned about transaction happening outside of our platform. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to put these coins in a burn wallet, and probably in conjunction with the BeamUp Foundation that we have. Primarily right now, we're using that BeamUp Foundation as a tool to primarily use for artists and for DJs and for athletes who cannot actually bring up the funds to set up these Metaspaces to help them. Overall, if you're looking at corporate social responsibility, we have a number of talks with causes, primarily now in the Netherlands, that we're trying to work with to help them with campaigns and cinematic properties and assets that we can help. Also, on that regard, just as Aragorn told you guys, this is something that we'll probably announce much more in Q1.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So, next question is, in what area of the metaverse will YOM help us? Oh no, we already did this. Help us support us. I think we already answered this before. I also not sure about this question. I'll park it and maybe we'll get back to it later. Let's see. Artists, developers, and companies contribute to truly open metaverse, which belongs to you, is the watchword. How do you imagine the average user will use it, and what will be attractive to him or her? I think that it's a great question, right? It's a great question. But ultimately, the answer to that is unknowable to some extent, because we don't even really know what the metaverse is going to be. Ultimately, we're building a platform and infrastructure. You could think of it like the cement between the bricks of the metaspaces to allow people to create any experience that they think is valuable sharing and that you think is valuable of enjoying. So ultimately, what we hope for is that there will be a market in a way as well on our metaverse, where different metaspaces come into creation, come into existence, and if they're good, you will be visiting them because you will want to go there. I mean, your friends will be calling you, and instead of telling you about the newest Netflix series that you really need to binge, they'll be like, you really got to get onto your open metaverse here, and you got to go to that experience. You got to go see this. This is mind blowing, and this is super cool. This is interesting. And so I'm going to put that question back to you. How do you think that you can build a metaspace or a metaverse on our platform that will be truly captivating? And what do you think you will be doing there? Okay, next question. Plans for the future? Lots. I think we covered that as well. I think the next one is going to be the final question that we are going to answer for today, because we're also over time. I love this question personally. It is, can I build a spacecraft kamikaze, fill it with lots of explosives, spread all what? Okay. Thank you for let I spend one BNB for it. I really love this question. I think we have to take this one up in our management team discussion, and we'll get back to you on that one. I promise.
If you would allow me, because there are two questions that I quickly hope to get answered, because it also,
The answer is yes.
The answer is yes. Go ahead.
And it's it is about tokenomics. There was one question that I saw: why is there only an initial market cap of 1 million? That was one question, and the other question relating to tokens is that you guys have 70% of the tokens basically laying on your virtual inventory. We're doing, for the people who haven't seen our tokenomics, throughout the various rounds, including the public round that will happen in Q1, we're going to allocate 30% of our token volume. Basically, what we're going to do, we're going to build a platform. We're going to make sure that we're going to have great value to the community, to yourself. Is there something we can do with the 70%? So of course there is. This is a project that we're building. However, we hold ourselves to high standards. For the people that did see our tokenomics, they will notice that there is a quite restrictive vesting schedule for the team. It's over 24 months. We're all out there. You might have seen these AMAs. We believe that we should be here with our faces open, our addresses on the website, our phones are on the website, and I think this is the cue.
Don't tell them.
Where my camera and my battery starts to die. So
yeah, this is a dox attack. You're already getting doxed. This is what's going on. People are already sending you 10,000 pizzas now.
Good. I just want to make sure of course, we are fully dedicated to the quality of this project, and it relates to the other question about the market cap. The reason why we have a relatively low market cap is because we strongly believe that there should be a viable and healthy secondary market for retail investors, like we have today, many in this AMA, but also to our group of 25 investors. So I really hope to, and I think these are quite important topics to touch, that I really want to give along to the community before we leave everybody to a hopefully wonderful weekend.
All right. Yes, Alex, I do agree. There was a reason we prepared these questions and talked about it at length. And that's because we care about making sure that our community is up to date, which is also why we put so much effort in trying to make this first AMA a truly unbelievable experience. I think I'm not going to be alone when I say that, my shirt's pretty wet in some places. I'm sorry, perhaps too much information. But it's really been our privilege and our honor to be able to host this AMA, to have all these people out here asking these questions. We will be back. Well, thank you so much. In the meantime, if you have any questions, if you want to know anything about YOM, if you are excited about your open metaverse, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, get them to go onto our Telegram, go onto our Twitter, follow, like, subscribe, check out our website, yom.community. We cannot have enough people knowing about us, helping us, being excited about us, planning on building on our platform with us, because that's the only way that we can truly make this a success for us, for you, and for everybody else that is looking forward to the metaverse. Thank you so much. That's gonna be it for today. See you in the metaverse. Where's my button? Oh, here it is somewhere. Oh, yep, there we go. you